that it is live. Well, let's just assume that it is. Good morning, everyone. My name is Alejandro Ventura. I'm a real estate broker here in town. And this is our second week doing a live chat. We call it Real Estate Fridays. Last week, we went live on Instagram. Now we're going to do it on Facebook. I'm with my good man, Greg Conley, loan officer, mortgage expert. Greg, how's it going?
Good, man. Just loving that it's Friday. It's beautiful outside, even though it's cold. How are you?
Very cold today. Very cold. I'm doing well, and I am new to the game of going live, and it's taking me quite some time to figure this out. So now we don't have much time to spend on our live today, so we're just going to get straight to it. Mm-hmm. So the topic of today's conversation is if you're a buyer who has been recently denied a home loan, get a second opinion. And Greg is going to share with us a story from a past client who was denied from or by a different lender, came to Greg, and now this person is a homeowner. So Greg, tell us how that happened.
Yeah, so client of mine actually just closed on their house 3 days ago. And I didn't realize this, but one of the agents told me they'd seen 3 different lenders prior to working with me, and this buyer was a construction laborer, so worked for a labor union. And the way that works is that the union assigns the buyer to individual jobs, and those jobs can be with different general contractors. And so what that means is, practically from a tax and income perspective, is for every individual job, they have a different employer. So when we're looking at income, we have to go track down, and it ended up being like 10 or 11 different sets of documents because they had 10 or 11 employers over a 2-year period. So what I found was that this process was pretty involved, and there was a couple times when I was at the borrower's house and we were working through things and taking paper documents, making them digital to submit them, etc. And he had told me that he had been denied, and then I talked to the agents, and they said, well, he's been denied like 3 or 4 times. And what I learned was it was less about his financial portfolio and his qualifications on paper. And I think it was more about that it was too much of a hassle. And that, I'm not criticizing any individual lenders, just aware of the fact that, like Alejandro said, if you've been denied, it may be because you don't qualify, but it also may be because it's easier for a mortgage lender to say, oh, you don't qualify, than to say, I don't want to do all the things to get you to a place where you qualify. And so this particular
is a great point because
so
I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's a point worth highlighting. We want to be cautious not to mislead anyone, just like you just said. If you have been denied a home loan, chances are, let's just say, you might still get a no, even if you get a second, third opinion, but you also might get a yes, like in your case. So Correct. It wouldn't hurt. So if someone says no, even 2 or 3 times, go to Greg. He was able to help someone who was denied by 3, 4 loan officers prior to working with him. And again, the answer might still be no, but it also could be yes, and you could become a homeowner. And this is not to speak ill of anyone, but if your transaction is one that will require more labor, time, effort, so people might not be willing to do it. Maybe they have bigger transactions to deal with. The thing is, Greg is someone who will go the extra mile, just like he did with this person. Also, in getting ready for this conversation, Greg phrased it perfectly when it comes to buying a home. And he said, yeah, that is not a question of if, but when. So tell us more about that, Greg.
Yeah. So I talk to borrowers about this all the time. And, at a certain point in time, when you go through your application, we run your credit, we look at your income, we look at your debts. At that point in time, an individual may not qualify for a loan. However, What I tell folks is that, look, this is not a matter of if you can buy a house, it's a matter of when. So if it's credit, let's put together a plan to help you build your credit. Either a 30 to 45-day plan, or if you need more, then it's a 6 to 9 month plan. If it's a matter of employment, say for example, you just started a business and you need to get to 2 years of employment. Okay, so we make a plan for how you can prepare yourself for home ownership as we wait for you to get to that 2 year mark, right? So again, it's not a matter of if you can buy a home, it's a matter of when. And are you willing to take the steps to follow a plan to put yourself in a position to be able to buy a home in a certain amount of time, even if it's not right now?
I love that because sometimes the answer is no, but that's a temporary no. That means no
Mm-hmm.
today. We can easily change that into a positive uh, outcome, 3, 6, 12 months down the road.
Correct.
Awesome. All right. Well, as I said before, we'll be having these conversations every Friday for at least 2 or 3 more weeks. So if you have specific questions about the buying process, the pre-qualification process, you can either comment down below with specific questions, and then we'll address them, address those in the next live next week. Or you can just contact Greg or myself directly. So, Greg, what is the best way to get a hold of you?
Honestly, pretty open. Alejandro is going to tag me obviously in this post. I'll be in there. You can reach out to me via social media. Um, all of CMG Mortgage, Greg Conley. If you Google it, Greg Conley CMG Home Loans, right? It'll pop up. It has my phone number on there. That's my cell phone. You can text me, call me, right? But yeah, any of those platforms are an acceptable way to reach out.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So remember, if you were recently denied a home loan, it does not have to be a permanent no. So get a second opinion. All right, guys, we're going to keep it short today. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and we'll see you again next Friday.
Sounds good. See you then.
All right. Take care. Take care.